Hey, welcome back, everyone. Chip Rodgers, Chief Partner Officer at WorkSpan, and I'm excited to be joined this morning by Dan Hod. Dan, welcome.
Good morning, Chip. Thank you for waking up very early for me.
Yeah,
I
and
know it's
for being
the
late for
beginning of
you
the
in
day.
Israel. So Dan is VP of Global Cloud Alliances and Ecosystem at Amdocs, and Dan, excited to have a chat with you. Dan has a background in technology, actually starting going way back in the Army for 6 years and learning technology and computers. Now I'm really digging way back,
Yeah,
Dan.
yeah.
Right?
Actually, my story that I was playing as I told you before. As a kid, I was playing piano and guitar, and in Israel there is also something called like a military band. And when I grew up, I always wanted to go in this direction. And actually, I was elected to one of the military bands, which was not open. And then they told me there is a
Really?
course, software course in the IDF. Do you want to go? So I told them, yeah, why not? And all of my career, changed because of that.
That's
So that's
interesting. Wow.
going back into my background.
Yeah. And you're still playing music
And yeah, that's
and
one of
and
my big passions.
learning new instruments, and you
Every
mentioned you play in a band these days too.
Yes, yes. I'm planning my retirement, so it will be like playing in the band, maybe in the street.
That's
You never
awesome.
know. Maybe I'll come to LA to play in the streets.
Yeah,
The Israelis suburbs or neighborhoods.
love it. I love it. So Dan, gosh, you've had a long career in technology, and 16 years at Amdocs. Most recently, currently heading the cloud alliances ecosystem group. Why don't we start there, Dan? Maybe you can share a little bit about what you and your team are up to at Amdocs.
Yeah. So thanks again for giving me this opportunity to speak with you. Super nice. So my team today is in charge of all the relationship with the cloud partners for Amdocs. So we started with the hyperscalers. We can dive into that and built an ecosystem of partners together with the hyperscalers, like to serve the cloud business. So my team today are working with we work with four hyperscalers: AWS, Azure, Google, and recently OCI. And for each one of them, we have to run and manage the partnership, the day-to-day partnership. But there is a lot of focus and activities on driving. How can we drive joint business with these guys?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a huge companies with so many programs and roles, and you get to know them. And this is the specialty of my team.
So that's great. There is a lot going on with the cloud providers, the hyperscalers. Maybe if you could talk a little bit about how that process has been going.
Yeah, I can. Maybe I'll tell you the history of it because I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
So also related to my history in Amdocs, that like I started, I did a few roles in Amdocs, and then I moved to the alliances team, and I managed all the new alliances, all the strategic alliances. So 6, 7, 8 years ago, it was around open source. For example, Amdocs, we shifted our portfolio from being vendor specific to be open source, to be based on open source technology. So I had to work very closely with the technology leadership and define the new agreement, to choose the new vendors and to define the new agreements. How do we work with them? So Amdocs, for those who don't know, Amdocs is a 30 plus thousand people, $5 billion almost $5 billion in revenue, 40 years in the market, and by far the leader in telecommunication industry. And now we are also penetrating the FSI industry. And Amdocs is a unique combination of an ISV, and that's many times my challenge working with the big guys. They look us as an ISV because we are independent software vendor. We have over 100 products in our portfolio, 5,000 people developing products, but we have also 25,000 people doing services aside. So we call it a unique we call it a product-led services company. By the way, there are many companies, not many, but few companies that try to replicate this model. So we coming with our IP, and we are the system integrator also to deliver it. And Amdocs is the only system integrator for our product. So Accenture, for example, are not implementing Amdocs products or other SIs. So we started and I started for example, working with those open source vendors and try to build the new portfolio. And then there were more strategic areas like network. So we started Amdocs started going into the network business, acquiring network companies that not creating network equipment, but doing, for example, a network optimization. So acquire a company like as Actix and Cellsite. And we developed something that in the stack called the network orchestrator. I don't know if you remember the buzzword around the SDN and NFV. So we went into it and developed. And then we created an ecosystem of partners around this ecosystem. So, for example, companies like Cisco or Nokia, Alcatel, like we had 100, maybe almost 100 partners only around this ecosystem of network. So there was open source, then network. And then we started doing big data and AI ecosystem around that. And then back then, I came from a startup, by the way, in 2007, that we developed something like Dropbox today. And we started working with AWS. Back then, they have S3, only the S3. When I joined Amdocs, so I was monitoring the cloud development, and in 6-7 years ago, after doing like open source, network, data, then I started. I was telling my boss, let's start talking with these cloud vendors. And the first try, by the way, was 10 years ago. I was managing a product, and we came to the customer and told them, guys, why don't you try? It's called APRM, Amdocs Product Relationship Manager, that providing basically B2B capabilities for the telco with its partners, like dealers or content providers. And back then, 10 years ago, the cloud adoption was too early. So we gave an amazing pricing, for example, for the customers, but they didn't want to adopt it. In 2017, AWS, I was already talking to them, and they came to us. Dan, you know what? AWS are seeing more and more telcos coming and asking to discuss cloud migration. And then AWS were the first one to come to us, and that's the first deal that I signed. And by the way, I don't know if you're familiar with their strategic collaboration agreement. It's like a framework where they are looking for leaders in sector, in like industries. So Amdocs for the telecommunication, and basically gave us made a lot of investment to start moving Amdocs to the cloud. So that's how we started. So I started myself. Now I have a team of almost 15 people. So I started myself, with AWS, with the technology guys, and building our portfolio to be native on AWS, and looking for the first deal. And then in 2019, the first deal came. It's like an APAC. I cannot disclose the name of the customer. It's an APAC customer. And they wanted to move the Amdocs systems to the cloud because, again, we see the telcos moving backend system or core systems to the cloud to enable developing new applications. So if you want to develop an application on the cloud and you need access to the backend systems, for example, to call APIs or to get information, so if the backend systems are still on-prem, you need to go to the IT, to the security. Sometimes you need to buy equipment. Very, very complex. So we did that, and from then the team the business grew up tremendously in the next year, and then we continued a deal with Microsoft and then Google, and most recently also Oracle.
That's really interesting. So by working with the cloud providers as long ago as 10 years ago, I guess maybe 2017 you said was when it really got started. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, you were able to simplify deployment and some of the challenges that otherwise you would have had, or your customers would have had, if it was on-prem.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, talking about this partnership, I remember I read Satya's book that there is a chapter about partnerships. That partnerships you need to build not when you need them, but a long time before
Ahead
you
of
need
it.
them. Yeah. So the first agreement was signed in 2018, but the boom is in the last 2-3 years. So it's really a good example how we saw where the market is going. And it was not like it's not a nuclear technology, right? It was very obvious because you saw the banking moving to it, and I learned that the FSI and telcos are industries that are leading, market,
Mm-hmm.
and we came ready with all the mechanism, to win deals, to give I incentivize the customers to move because they have the challenge. For example, their Amdocs exists 40 years, so we have customers running system for 20, 30 years. And they need every 5 years they need to repurchase hardware. Sometimes end of life for a Oracle database or Red Hat or underlying technologies that you need to rebuild or recompile the system. So these compelling events, we came and told them, guys, maybe now you can move to the cloud, and this is exactly what happened. So you saw that at the beginning, my sell or my fight was even internally in Amdocs because I had to go to the sales guys and tell them, guys, why are you only offering on-prem? And for the guys who are doing the sizing, I told them, guys, let's give them another option. Let's give them on-prem, but let's give them an opportunity or an option to go on the cloud.
Put it in the cloud. Yeah. Interesting.
And there was a deal, by the way. There was a very interesting deal that I was pitching that, and they told me, Dan, don't waste our time, blah, blah, blah. And then a week before the submission, the customer told them, by the way, we want also offer on the cloud. So then I rest my case. Every time we came with this approach to be ready because they didn't want to do the work last minute, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. So how has the journey been? So you started out, I mean, you've gone full circle with starting, really building and joint investment. You were saying that, with AWS initially to, build the solution in the cloud, move Amdocs technology into the cloud, and then you've gone through this whole process of, going to market together. And now I assume you're also co-selling with some of the field, some of the cloud providers, some of their field teams.
Yeah. So first I want to compliment AWS because they came to us without no commitment, nothing. They didn't tell us if we give you X, you need to provide us 10X or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, they believed in the telecommunication and believed in Amdocs, and they just put a lot of resources on us. And they get a lot because now, for example, when we develop our software, so the development is done on-prem and on AWS. So that's how it started. Now, an important part of our business, it's a business with partners. So Amdocs is the biggest eye in the telco, and when we come to our customers, sometimes they ask us for like technology that we don't have. So we bring partners in. We found out that we can give our customers, even the huge ones, a better price on HP, Dell, IBM, Oracle, Red Hat. So we become a very strong reseller of all these what we call the third-party vendors.
Mm-hmm.
When we came to the cloud, I try to emphasize to the cloud guys the importance of selling consumption. And they told me, we work with bigger size. Nobody's talking with us about selling consumption. So I was telling you, again, it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So now everybody wants to do it.
That's everything these days.
Yeah, because it's money on the table, right?
Yeah.
So we were working very hard for them to let them understand how to make it happen. For example,
Hmm.
if a sales guy, he has two options: to sell on-prem, he gets all the revenue, or to sell on the cloud, and then the customer is buying directly from AWS. No, or Azure. It will not work. So I created this mechanism, starting again with AWS, then with Azure, how we secure this what we call the cloud consumption, and then working very closely with each hyperscaler and their sales team to map the accounts that we want to go after, and then to see like what is the Amdocs footprint, what we can bring, and work very closely to jointly win deals together, and to support this model that everything will run and manage on Amdocs on the Amdocs account. For example,
Hmm.
Amdocs right now we are moving slowly, that our portfolio becoming more and more based on SaaS products. So we have like maybe 10 SaaS products, but the core, like what in telecom it called BSS, business support systems, and OSS, operational support systems.
Hmm.
It's cloud native. It's based on microservices development. Everything is split but it's not SaaS. I remember I came to Amdocs, and I came from software background. I worked in the army on like very large projects, and here every project that we count in man month, and sometimes it could be thousands of man months if you
Hmm.
go to a huge transformation, and then you see that every telco they have hundreds, sometimes thousands of homegrown solutions that you need to integrate. It's endless work. So when you come and try to translate it, to bring it to the cloud, it becoming very, very difficult. So we started slowly winning those accounts, moving them to the cloud. So that was phase number one. Now the phase is to see how can we expand, how can we
Hmm.
sell them more stuff, how can we sell them the new stuff. We're expanding into FSI, the financial services. So we have Amdocs has a very nice business um, of selling to banks, and now we're working also with hyperscalers, and how to elevate it, and how to create more business together around it.
So interesting that that journey to included really educating, kind of bringing your sales teams along in the process, and getting them to understand what are the motivations of their counterparts at AWS to begin with, and then the other cloud providers, and getting them over the hump, even to understand the concept of consumption, and how that can help them in the deal by aligning with the cloud provider's sales team.
Yeah, definitely. And it was hard also to explain to the cloud guys. So the
Mm.
good thing with the cloud, that many people from big enterprise like IBM, EMC, HP, they all went to AWS or Azure, etc. So they understand. People that come from for example, I remember one of them was from Cisco, and Cisco is known by like selling everything from their partners, 90+%. I was also managing Cisco like
Hmm.
many years ago.
Yeah.
And I told him, guy, you came from Cisco, so you know it. So he told me, yes, I know, I understand, and they help you. But then we had to solve some issues. So for example, you come to a customer tell you, but I just made a commitment to AWS. So we had the solutions how to make sure it doesn't hurt from this commitment. So he will retire his commitment when running with Amdocs. He will get
Hmm.
a discount. So it's not easy, but we sort it out and we see the result. Also talking about what you said about understanding, how the other guy is compensated. It's super,
Hmm.
super important,
Hmm.
because in my and this is also my especially of my team, to know all the details and all the different programs of these guys. So in Microsoft, for example, there is an IP co-sell program.
Yeah.
So if you sell something to the customer, they don't buy from Amdocs, but the Amdocs has a project in a customer, the guy, the Microsoft guy at this customer can get recognition of a few hundreds of thousands of dollars, depend if you help him to get it, and then he gives you back, he reciprocate. So, and then to understand, how the importance of consumption to them. recently, last year, we started transacting via the marketplace. We see the trend of marketplace. So also Microsoft, all these guys understood, like Amdocs, like we understood that we should resell Red Hat and the HP, blah, blah, blah. So they understand it now. It took them a few years because it's great revenue. So they
Interesting.
are, I don't know if you know, but like when they started, if you bought something from the marketplace, it will retire only 50%, like 50 cents per dollar against your commitment. Now it's 100%. So they have incentive because they want to grow their business.
Yeah.
So we help them also do that. So I have a team in my team. There are like 2 people that are all they do is partner programs and operations, because it's endless. Really, it's endless.
Just tracking all the different programs. Yeah, I mean, at Inspire last month, Microsoft made big announcements about everything needs to be transactable in the cloud, in the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
To be able.
And by the way, they are one leg behind AWS. For example, AWS also allow you to resell a third party from the marketplace. So Microsoft, I think they announced it or will announce it. So let's say that I'm selling to my customer Cloudera or Snowflake or whatever. So instead of them buying directly from Cloudera or Snowflake via the marketplace, I want to be the reseller in between. So it's becoming amazing. There are a lot of business going there. And also the good thing, so the value of marketplace is that it's easy to transact because there is already infrastructure in place. You don't need to go after like a new approval. You just click and that's it. You need to get internal approvals, but you don't need to sign more documents. So we see many customers asking us also to transact via the marketplace. So it will grow for sure.
Yeah.
By the way, Google and Oracle still do not have in marketplace. There are two options. One is the public marketplace, but in the telco, nobody will look for Amdocs in the public marketplace. Like you buy it in the App Store and will buy something. So we publish on the public marketplace, but the deal is done in the private marketplace, private offer,
private offers.
So, yeah. So everyone is also copying that, and that's it's a clear direction where they go.
Yeah. Well, Dan, we'll have to have you on. You could teach a course in this.
Yeah. But I told you, I prefer playing music than teaching.
Yeah. That's great. And so, it's taken, it's taken a while even to get, to get everyone to understand the process, to get the sales team, the product teams, everyone to get on board. It's been 6 years, say, since sort of, starting out on this journey. How far along are you? Are you feeling like you're that you've made a good dent in getting everyone aligned, and how is it going?
Not 100%. It's still my team is like the center of excellence for all these activities. So when there is a deal, everybody comes to us and they don't go directly, because we tell them, guys, there are many things, many programs, or even in the agreement that we have, there are like special benefit that we can apply on a deal. So we are still not there, but also these companies are progressing and releasing updates and new stuff all the time, and also introducing new roles. So one of the things that we need to know is like which are the key guys in every region that we should speak with to identify new opportunities. So for example, in the telco, it's easy. There are big telcos. We are everywhere. But we want to get approach to the small telcos or MVNOs, MVNEs. So we need to know, like, in every region, for every hyperscaler, who is the business development guy, the right guy, or partner sales guy, sometimes partner development guy, partner sales guy, ISP sales guy, GSI sales guy, that to talk with to introduce us to new opportunities, and that's my goal in the next year. It was in this year and next year and the next 2 years is to see how we significantly going to grow our joint business with the hyperscalers by going to new logos. So that's a challenge. And that's one of the focus areas.
Yeah, and it's tough to do that, to get the sales teams aligned. Amdocs is a global company, so it's not just, you got to go into each region, or get each of the region of your regional teams aligned, and then get them connected so that they can co-sell with their counterparts. So it's
Still, you need, it's good because still you need the inter-relationship, personal relationship between people. And you see where you have territories where the sales guys are working amazing together. It's amazing. You see the difference
yeah,
between places where they're fighting, they don't see eye to eye, they are trying to fight different stuff. We can talk about it like another episode about that. But still, and that's, I'm happy to see that it's not like you buying a small SaaS, or like small SaaS products from the internet. That it's still a lot of relationship like involved in the sales process and in the partnership.
Yeah, I mean, these are enterprise deals, so it's
Yes.
it takes time to get everyone aboard.
Yeah, we're still hunting elephants.
Yeah. So Amdocs started out in telco, very successful, as sort of your core. You've moved into banking. Are there other industries that you're taking on as well?
Right now it's telco and FSI. Now the FSI business is like above 10% of our overall revenue, almost 20. And we are going to spend a lot of effort. We acquired also the cloud division. We acquired in the last few years 3 consulting companies, Sourced. I don't know if you're familiar with them, Source Group and DevOps Group and Kenzan, and many of them are coming with a very strong portfolio of banks in Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, that they are providing cloud consulting, and we are coming from this consulting perspective and bringing the full Amdocs. Amdocs is doing a lot of stuff. For example, one of the trends today in the banks that we see also in other places is mainframe. Banks, they don't want to continue paying to the mainframe. So they want to modernize, and they modernize the mainframe, moving it to AWS, to Azure. So you see this trend. So that's where we have done mainframe modernization in the telco. Now we're bringing this expertise as an example to banking.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, Dan, this has been fantastic. Thank you for sharing so many really interesting experiences, and getting Amdocs and your whole organization, sales team, product team, everybody aligned and excited around working with the cloud providers. You've been working in partnerships for quite a while. Is there anything that you've learned along the way, or some advice that you got along the way that's helped you working with partners that you'd want to share with our audience?
Yeah, actually, when I think of it, a few advices. First, when you sign the agreement, I try not to spend too much time on the agreement, and I'm telling the partners, let's not fight on the agreement, because at the end of the day, if the partnership will work, then we don't need the agreement. And if the partnership will not work, then also we don't need the agreement.
Right. What are you really going to do? You're going to sue each other, right?
Exactly. And another tip, by the way, that I can give to small partners when coming to work with bigger size, like Amdocs as an SI and a reseller. I remember one of the first deal I did with a company, a startup, that the COO was a friend of mine also. And he told me, Dan, we brought you to this deal in Telstra. How many deals my CEO is asking me I'm going to have next year? Can I say 4, 5? So I told him, you can say 10, but you need to bring the deal. The bigger size, they don't. We have 100 products and then another 100 partners. So we cannot sell. The sales guys they are responding to RFPs, etc. And the small companies. And if we have time, I can tell you a story. There was a company that I told them, again, the same story. I will tell them, guys, this is our customer base. Let me know. Let's choose. Tell your VP sales. Let's choose 1, 2, 3 opportunities that you want to pass through Amdocs.
Mhm.
So we will be the prime, we'll get some margin, and then we will replicate it. So he was going, and I was telling him, every time you go to a country, let me know. I will introduce you to the Amdocs guy. So he had the presentation on that. He met like 30 plus, Amdocs sales guys.
Yeah.
And then the door was open in one big North American operator. And we signed a deal for them, like a 5 years deal that was like 5 times their annual revenue.
Mm.
It was amazing. It was a big company. And small companies or mid-sized companies cannot do it. They need like the big companies like Amdocs and the level of Amdocs to do that. So the tip is come to Amdocs with opportunities that you know that Amdocs is strong at this customer and can help you sell it, can help you increase it. So these are like 2 important tips.
That's great. That's fantastic. Good advice. And you've been doing this a while and done it very successfully. So congrats on that, Dan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Well,
Chip. And continue with this podcast. It's super interesting. I saw the list of people that you interviewed. It's super, very, very impressive.
it's been a lot of fun. It's been quite a journey, and I get to meet so many interesting people and all in technology and partnerships and all that. So it's been a great project for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Well, Dan, thank you for joining, and this has been fantastic. And thank you all for joining another episode of Ecosystem Aces. And for Dan Hode, and I'm Chip Rodgers. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Dan.